everybody. So, stress is real, right? Stress is a thing and it's everywhere, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today and give you some tips for managing that stress that are hopefully really easy but super effective. But before I get into those tips, I wanted to give you a heads up that if you are not already on my email list, you want to make sure that you get on there. If you are into following, right, Yoga with TG, you get lots of free things. And the very first email, you get a guided yoga nidra, a complete yoga nidra, so you don't want to miss that. And then throughout, I continue to send things and give access to my email list that other people don't get, and you can stay in the know. And you don't have to worry that social media is, the algorithm isn't showing you the right things. That if you're on the email list, you'll be informed and up to date, and you can also always reply and ask questions, that type of thing. So if you go to bit.ly/yoga with TG email, you can sign up, because I have some news coming up, hopefully pretty soon, that my email list will know well before other people know, because of how it needs to happen. So they will know about it and have access to it in advance. So now's the time. If you've been like, I don't know, get on there, right? You don't want to miss out. So make sure you're doing that. Okay. Stress. So stressful times. And sometimes stress like sneaks up on you, right? And you're like going about your day and things seem fine. And then you're just like, everything, I feel overwhelmed. So a couple of easy tips that almost all of them you can do wherever you are, all but one. And you can stop or be right where you're at, and you can do this and kind of help yourself come back to center. Because for me, I don't know how it feels for you, but sometimes when I'm really stressed, or as the day keeps going and I'm juggling all the things, it's as if I get just pulled apart, like all the little particles of me just get further and further away and from my center, that like just everybody's pulling on different things metaphorically, but it's as if that is what's happening to me. And when I do some of these techniques, it's as if it helps pull things back in, and I'm more myself, and I'm more grounded, I'm more centered. And I also want to talk about these easy little moments that you can take to show you and help you see how you can integrate yoga throughout your day. Yoga does not have to be a 30-minute, 60-minute flow. These moments that we're going to talk about, these strategies, these techniques that we're going to talk about tonight, you can use all the time, and they're a yoga practice. That's practicing yoga. If you do one of these a day, you did yoga that day. So I like to talk about that too, as a reminder that yoga does not have to be an hour-long physical practice. Okay, so strategy number one is my favorite one. So if right now, wherever you're at, wherever you're doing, if you pull your shoulders up towards your ears, you can feel how much work that is, right? You can feel yourself like pulling them up and how tight that is. Okay, so what I want you to do is, whenever you think about it, or you can set an alarm on your phone, like twice a day, whatever, I want you to stop, and on an exhale, I want you just to relax the shoulders down. That just take a moment and be like, oh, I thought about it. I'm going to breathe in, and on the exhale, I'm going to relax the shoulders. And I guarantee you, every time, those shoulders are going to sink pretty far, and you're going to realize how much over the day you have just been squeezing those shoulders up higher and higher and higher. And you don't even notice it. You've just been carrying that way. And so how much tightness then we have in those shoulders. No wonder we feel tight in the neck and in the shoulders, and we need people to come help work that out, right? It's because we're carrying our shoulders up here all day and all that stress and all that tightness. So catch yourself however often you can, remind yourself and use that exhale and soften the shoulders and just see what that does and how that makes you feel. So that's my favorite tip. I do that all the time. I teach yoga, for goodness sake, and still every time it's like, oh, they went really far down. I was carrying them really high. Okay, number 2, strategy number 2. So wherever you are, if you're just starting to feel like everything is scattered, I'm overwhelmed, nothing's going my way, I'm super stressed, you can turn your full focus to the breath. Now, when I say that, I don't want you to analyze the breath or judge the breath. We're not trying to be like, oh, I'm breathing fast or I'm breathing shallow. We're not really judging it. We're just trying to focus on that one singular thing. And we're just trying to actively pay attention to it and not to anything else that's around us. And so I just want you to notice and pay attention to the inhale, see how it feels, maybe where it's going, how the body's responding. Pay attention to each exhale. Am I exhaling through my mouth, through the nose? Where am I inhaling? Is it more in my chest? Is it going to my belly? Not judging, just paying attention to it and seeing what it's doing. And then as you start to relax, often what you find is the body responds. It starts to kind of relax. The mind, as it gets better at staying focused, and if it tries to wander off, it's fine. Just acknowledge that it's getting distracted. Like, oh, that was a thought. I'm going to pay attention again just to my breath, that next inhale, that next exhale. Right? Again, not judging. We don't judge ourselves if we got distracted. We don't judge what we are deciding the quality of the breath is. We are just paying attention to each inhale and each exhale. And usually then we start to notice that the body relaxes, those shoulders soften, the hips relax, the back relaxes, the mind starts to clear, and then naturally that breath begins to deepen and lengthen. But we don't ever want to force that, because then sometimes if we're really stressed, forcing that just compounds things, because then we feel like we're not doing that well enough either. So if that happens, great. But that's not the goal. The goal is really to get that mind focused on one thing and kind of let everything else set aside for a minute. And then you can stay there in that moment for a minute, 5 minutes, however long, right? Just that's completely up to you. Okay, number 3. Number 3 feels somewhat similar maybe, but we're going to focus singularly on counting the breath. So sometimes people do really well with I'm just going to focus on the breath, inhaling and exhaling, and I'm just noticing it. Other times people really struggle. The mind is like, whatever, we got to figure this out and this out and this out. So if they add the element of counting the breath, then that helps keep that mind more focused and less likely to get distracted. So if you try that second tactic and you're really struggling with the mind being able to do that, then try counting the breath. Also, you can close the eyes. You can instead keep like a soft focus on a singular point somewhere. Like I'm going to stare at this item, but I'm not staring at it. That's not my focus. It's like just keeping a soft kind of gaze, like my eyes aren't fully open. So if you're not comfortable closing your eyes, you can do that. And then you're going to count your breath. Inhale 1, exhale 1. Inhale 2, exhale 2. You're going to try to get up to 10. If you lose count, you get distracted, you start again at 1. And as you're doing that, you want to think about like relaxing the throat, relax that jaw, even the tongue, because we tense up right in that jaw area. So relaxing kind of here. And again, just focusing on that breath. Inhale, 1. Exhale, 1. Inhale, 2. Exhale, 2. And see if you can get to 10 and how you feel when you do. But again, don't judge. I only ever got to 6 before I had to. That's fine. Focus on how you feel in the process. It's not about how far you get or how deep the breath is, right? We always kind of want those markers. Well, how high should I get my count to? Or how long should I do this? Or how many times is too many that I got distracted? That's not the focus, right? The focus is that idea of coming back to center. We're bringing ourselves back. Okay, number 4, last one. So maybe when you get home, you can't always do this one everywhere that you are. But coming to a child's pose is my favorite. If child's pose is really uncomfortable for you, you could do Shavasana. I really prefer child's pose for this because my forehead is connected to the mat, and that's what I can focus on. So I find this rest pose, child's pose, where I can kind of relax, I can sink into it as I stay there. And that's going to be the key to this pose, is I'm going to focus on that forehead connecting to the mat, that I'm connected, I'm rooted, I'm grounded, I'm safe, I'm secure, and that's it. And then I'm just going to stay there, which is the hard part for this one, because a lot of things can come up, right? All the stress, all the way, but we are just going to observe it. We're not trying to fix it. We're just letting the mind run through what it needs to run through and tell us what it needs to tell us. And we are just observing it. So we're just watching, we're just seeing what comes up, we're experiencing, and we stay through that experience. You have to stay in that moment, stay in those feelings, let them play through. And then as the mind kind of finishes dumping everything that it needs to dump, you stay still. You're still there. And then we settle. Then we relax. Then we're able to release and kind of let things pass. Because sometimes we're so busy during the day that we just kind of stash stuff, right? Like, I'm just going to I don't have time for this right now. And eventually your mind says, at some point I have to tell someone this, right? Or I have to deal with this, or I have to think about this. And so this exercise, I feel like, gives that mind permission to dump it all out. And that we just kind of watch and observe. And then when it's done, then we can settle and we can relax and we can exhale, right? We go, okay, I'm all right. So don't forget, join my email list so you don't miss out on some big news that's coming this summer. bit.ly/yoga with TG email, or just message me if you have trouble. I'll get you on there. And let me know what tips you try, how it goes. If you have other tips, would love to hear them, what you do to help control some stress and come back to center and bring all of you back. So let me know and keep me posted on how these tips hopefully help you out this week and beyond. All right, see you all later.